Hello, everybody. This is Mike from the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. My wife Beth and I would like to invite you to join us each week as we examine life at the intersection of marriage, family, careers, and ministry. Through 28 years of ministry, 26 years of marriage, 23 years of professional careers, and 21 years of being parents to 3 kids, our fun and honest discussions promise to have something for everyone. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. This is Mike.
And Beth.
And we're back once again to dive into life at the intersection of marriage, family, careers, and ministry.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're exciting that way. We have expertise in all of those.
Often don't you feel like that intersection is the 4-way stop?
Yes, and it's like you don't know who's going to drive. It's interesting you brought that up because Josh is learning to drive, and we had a 4-way stop, and it's kind of like, you're all sitting there looking like, wait a minute, do I go? Do I stay? Do I turn left? Do I turn right? Who has the right of way?
Yeah, I mean, it's can be that way sometimes when you have multiple areas of your life and they tend to merge or get to the same intersection at the same time together in life, which takes priority.
Well, yes. And that's like, that brings up the whole thing, when everybody always talks about work-life balance or they'll talk about in ministry, like always making sure, like it's God, family, whatever. I don't, just these different like little snippets people tell you as pieces of wisdom, but to actually implement them in your life sometimes feels impossible.
Yeah. Well, we have been a part of some implementing, I guess, some things that as we've been talking about. Last week we talked about books.
Yes.
And, ask some folks, what's some of your favorite children's series? I'm going to, we got some comments, but I'm going to point out one in particular from, I will say one of our older listeners. He said, I don't know anything about children's books, but I guess I'll say Dr. Seuss.
Okay. Well, that's a legitimate person.
But Dr. Seuss is the author.
Yeah.
I think you got to look at maybe Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
How many Cat in the Hat books were there?
I don't know.
Enough to have a series?
Yeah.
I always forget, honestly, about
But
Dr.
enough
Seuss.
to have a ride at Universal Studios. Not a very good ride at that. But I'm just saying, there was enough, I guess.
There's been a Cat in the Hat movie.
Yeah. I feel like there have been multiple Cat in the Hat movies, potentially, haven't there? I don't know. Like a cartoon. Yeah, wasn't there a cartoon that had Penguin and stuff? And then they had...
That's what I'm saying. There's the universe that Dr. Seuss created.
Yeah.
That has different characters.
And the Grinch and all of those things. But, But I don't know I don't know if that was like a quote series. I don't know for Cat in the Hat. I don't
sense that this guy had written Fun with Dick Jane.
Yeah.
Something like that.
No, we shouldn't have forgotten those. Do they still teach new readers with that, I wonder?
It's probably not appropriate.
See Jane sit down, have dinner, or books to learn, I guess.
Yeah. And then one of your friends brought up like Harry Potter.
Yes.
And was like saying, now again, I've never read the books. I've seen all the movies one time each. That was just when you drug me to the theater to watch them. So I've watched all the movies. I know enough about Harry Potter because of the lore and people talking about the series. So I know the characters. Maria has taken me to Harry Potter Land at Universal, but that's about it. So she's talking about, Marissa's saying, oh, well, I'm going to be in such and such house. And Beth, you'll be in such and such house. And I think Mike would be in this house. Like, I don't understand any of that stuff. I don't understand what the different houses represent. But my feeling was she probably put me in a house that wasn't very good.
She did. Yeah. Well, no, they wouldn't say that. Let me rephrase.
I feel like the name of it was something like Slytherin or something. And I was like, that sounds like they're the bad guys.
Well, let's just say this. Okay. So she said, I think that she's a Gryffindor. Gryffindor is like Harry, Hermione, that's where the main characters. They were in Gryffindor, and I think they're known for like...
So Marissa sees herself as the main character of life. Good to know.
No, but they're like brave and those types of things. She thinks that I am Hufflepuff. They value loyalty, hard work, dedication, patience, fairness, it says, teamwork, community. They're seen as the most accepting and humble. This is what it says online. I think, let's see. Wait a minute. Let me find a better thing because I feel like there's got to be better descriptions.
That tells me all I need to say. What's it say about the Slytherin people?
Well, let's just say this. Voldemort was from Slytherin.
Well, he was bald. I'm bald.
Well, I'm just saying that doesn't seem, quite so...
Now, was that blonde-haired kid in it? Because he was kind of annoying.
Oh, Malfoy?
Malfoy.
Yes, he was Slytherin.
Yes.
So that's who she groups you with.
Now, what about, was his name Snape? The old
Severus
man?
Snape.
What was he in?
I wonder if he was too. I can't remember. But Slytherin's known for ambition, cunning, resourcefulness. So that's a nice way of saying...
well, that's good. I'll do that.
Yeah. You'll take that?
Yes.
Okay, even though pretty much... they are, that's where all the bad guys
I think they're just misunderstood.
Oh, I'm sure.
What it sounds like.
Well, this could feed into that whole theory, though, where everybody thinks, so Severus Snape was in Slytherin house, and he turned out to be good. Spoiler, sorry.
Great.
Yeah, now you'll never read it.
I'm never going to, I remember it from the movies. I remember he had some type of redemption arc.
Yes. So,
and,
but I'm just saying, I'm glad that you feel good about your placement there because for me, I don't want to be in Slytherin.
I feel like the other two could probably be bullies.
Again, why?
Bullying the Slytherin people.
No. Oh, trust me.
That's what they were always at. I think if I go back and watch the movies or read the books, they're probably always on the defensive.
No, I think this probably feeds into maybe Marissa feels like so many people do that you're not nice to me sometimes on the podcast, and so maybe that's why you're getting placed in that Slytherin house, because you have a lot of potential to turn into the villain. That's what I get from that placement. Yeah, you're like, I don't know about that.
But what did Voldemort do that was so bad?
He was the main...
But what did he do? I don't understand. What did he do that was so bad?
He was trying to he killed Harry's parents and he went just like...
But why? You don't just kill somebody without a reason.
Okay, I know, but he's power, just like all these bad guys in every movie that are power hungry.
You got, like the Emperor and Darth Vader. They wanted to take over. They wanted to take over the universe. They wanted the Empire to be the best. So Voldemort's something.
Well, but I need to tell you super quick. Gryffindor, which is Harry and all of those.
Marissa, the star of the show.
Values bravery, chivalry, helping others. That's Marissa. She is. She's and they have courage. Hufflepuff value hard work, loyalty, patience, fair play, humble hard workers. Oh, that's me, humble hard worker. Ravenclaw, intelligence, wit, knowledge, planning ahead.
Why wouldn't you be in Ravenclaw? That sounds more than a Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff. Anyway, and Slytherin, they're about ambition, cunning, resourcefulness, heritage. They want to be great. They're on a path to greatness. So there you go.
Well, that speaks to my Enneagram 1.
Well, I guess so, I
strive for excellence.
Well, that's true. So, and maybe that's where she was going.
What was Voldemort's end game? What did he want?
He wanted pure blood to be supreme, because there's in the muggles are the people, who aren't wizards and or sometimes you would have Hermione. I think it's been a while since I've read all these, but I think one of her parents was a muggle and one might have been a wizard. So
was a muggle like a human?
Yeah, like us.
So he's wanting to kill the muggles.
Well, I think he just wanted everything in his world, in the wizarding world, I can't remember. I don't know if he was like, oh, I'm going to go out into the muggle world, maybe. But he didn't want, I think, people who might have a muggle parent and a pureblood parent. He wanted this pure, he thought that the wizards that were purebloods were superior to people who were muggle born and had non-wizard blood. And so he also
like in the Marvel movies,
but he also wanted control of the wizarding world. That's why he wanted to be the biggest leader. So that's what I was saying. Like, you know, he wanted to just like kind of take up, just like in all these movies where they become obsessed with
But like in the Marvel movies, Thanos gets a bad rap.
Right, because he wants to take over.
No, he just wanted population control. That was it. He looked around, the universe was overcrowding, and he was like, I could just snap my fingers and half of them are gone, and then people will have plenty of space to live and grow.
Are you saying this because you are trying to play into like your role as the villain of this podcast?
Sometimes villains are misunderstood.
Well, have you looked at Voldemort? He has like no nose. I mean, you can look when you make a character look like that, you know,
you could tell the way that woman drew him.
No, I'm just saying Voldemort is not someone for us to be like feeling sorry for or misunderstood. He is clearly not a good person.
Like Beth and I have been watching The Righteous Gemstones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to endorse that as a TV show to watch with your children.
Oh, gosh, no.
It may be too over the top for most adults, but it is a comedy on HBO Max by Danny McBride, who I absolutely love and adore. UNC School of the Arts grad, Danny McBride. But it's about a mega church family. The Gemstones is their last name.
Yes.
And so now we just finished season 3. Season 4 is on right now, which is going to be the final season. So now we're all caught up. We can start watching season 4, hopefully tonight. But you and I, none of the characters really are likable.
Yes.
They're all, but they're.
Which is also why there have been other series that we haven't watched because we don't even have one redeemable character.
But I think the difference in The Righteous Gemstones is like there was another TV show called Ozark.
Yeah.
And it was super popular.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman, I think, was in it. I watched the first season. There is no likable character in that show, but they're also not fun.
I think I watched the first episode, and that's as far as I could get.
They're bad people, and it's way too serious.
Because it's a drama.
Yes. What makes the Gemstones is they're bad people. They're very flawed.
But it's a comedy.
So they get what's coming to them a lot of times. Yeah. And it's fun to laugh at just the situations they put themselves in. So there's a dad, John Goodman, who has now retired and handed over the church to his 3 bumbling kids, one of them being Danny McBride. But you and I differ on the John Goodman character.
Right.
You do not like the dad, Eli Gemstone. I like Eli, and I sympathize with Eli.
Okay, I think you are looking at the Eli who is an old man nearing retirement, potentially looking back on his life and the way that he manipulated the masses with false hope or lies about Y2K or what have you with his massive church where he's got this massive wealth. Okay, I don't know that they've never shown him feeling guilt or remorse, but maybe he's grown some as a person, but I still can't get past that whole thing of like just amassing this insane amount of wealth from people in this huge mega church. You know, I can't get past that. And I think that there's times on that show where it's pretty clear that maybe they didn't get all that wealth in the nicest way. And they're challenged on that. I mean, we don't have a ton of flashbacks. You kind of just see these really spoiled kids, you know, who just have all this money. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't feel sorry for him. I feel, you know, got to turn your life around so I could have passion for him. But it's hard when you think about the lives. If this were real life, the lives he may have ruined with the message that he put out there and the way he is in the show.
But what about the lives he helped? See, this is where I struggle with the Eli character because as a pastor, I don't have his level of greed, obviously. I barely make above the poverty level. Right? I'm driving a 2000 Forerunner with 260,000. I understand the demands of having a flock, whether that flock of parishioners is 100 or 5,000.
Right.
There's a demand there. And the biggest demand is you have all the answers. You need to give us the answers. And as a pastor, you struggle with not just having those answers, but I think you struggle with having to at least give the image of you have it all together and you're perfect. And I think he got caught up in that. This, everyone looking to him, the big celebrity. He became a celebrity pastor. His wife was adored. I mean, according to the show, all this.
We don't know all this,
and,
but it
and he got in way over his head, obviously. And we are looking at it now where he has retired. And I think he is looking at his kids like,
what did I do?
Really messed up.
I could have done something differently there.
But I think I empathize with him because, it's like, I get it. Like you get people that are looking to you. You feel like you have to give them the answer, like the Y2K thing that he went through.
Yeah.
Yes, he went overboard with, selling
the preparation kits
and made a lot of money off people's fears. But on the flip side, he probably felt like he had to do something because he had a whole church that was coming to him worried about Y2K, and he felt like he had to have an answer. And I think a lot of pastors, they get themselves into trouble because they feel like they always have to have an answer instead, I don't know.
Is like, which we've probably learned this with wisdom and age in the church. But I mean, even if you look at biblically, like Jesus answered half the stuff with a question and the rest with a parable. There's like nothing direct, like even in Jesus, and I'm not saying Jesus wouldn't have had the answers, but like he didn't have the answers in the sense of like Jesus was like, okay, here's your 10-step plan and everything's going to be great. I think that's the other thing. I think we just all have a kind of a warped view of what faith will get us, but also what people in leadership, like in the church, should be giving us. I think that's the problem. I do think the expectations are too much, because how are you as a pastor supposed to answer unanswerable questions that no one's been able to answer for who knows how many years, You don't have some special, like, I don't know, I guess like direct beam, to God to be like, I get the answers that no one else has.
Yeah. People expect you to have that though.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But I like watching that show too and imagining like being a pastor and it being built and obviously being a pastor, being in ministry for many, many, many years, always being in the church. I like watching a show like that because I try to imagine who could my friends, who could this be? Like I think about James Mitchell and I think he is probably the baby Billy of my friends.
Baby Billy.
You are
Uncle Baby Billy to like the Uncle Baby Billy.
You are the Amber Gemstone, Jesse's wife.
I do not like her. Thanks for insulting me. But anyway,
What's
keep
wrong with
going.
her? She's great.
I told you I don't like her. I don't know. She just acts like superior or what have you. I don't know. I don't like her.
I mean,
I think it's hard to like. Who are you, Jesse?
Probably. Maybe I'm Eli. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, no one wants to be anybody on that show. That is not going to be your life aspiration watching that show. But I do see why for you this show.
But Jesse, we just watched the season finale of season 3 last night.
He has a good character arc.
I sat there and just smiled so big at the end of that show because the family was happy. Yeah. And then Eli had his grandson come and be like, I want to learn from you. And you could tell that really touched Eli. Yeah. Like it was just cool. I thought the ending of that show was beautiful. And they didn't even have to do a 4th season. So I don't know what they're going to do this season. But I know Danny said that in some interviews, kind of a 4 seasons. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. So I'm excited to look on that. But
I think it's also, though, I was going to really any comment about like a pastor or something like that. So I think that's the other thing.
And this isn't a flattering comedy.
No, it's no
pastor depicted in this.
It's horrible. But I think about like how we watch that. We started watching that pretty much right when I gotten hired by the hospital. And so there's this attorney, Ted, who just kind of is in a broom closet or something for his office. And he's just like, oh no, I'm going to get sued. And so kind of like that show for me was a fun show to watch because it was a comedy, but set in this hospital setting. And we would always joke like, Beth, are you Ted? I think why this show resonates too, because there's not a lot of shows out there that like look at, something like this and make it.
Has 3 kids.
Yeah.
Son, daughter, son. I'm like, could Jacob turn out like Jesse? Yeah, no. Maria could definitely turn out. What's the daughter's name? Gosh,
yeah.
Yes. And maybe Kelvin.
Well, let's hope not, because they're all terrible.
Walled.
But they ending center.
Green.
Well, I guess. That's what we'll say. They grow on you. Those characters do.
Oh man. So another update. We had Ross in the very beginning. Interviewed Ross, and Ross talked about his love for the game of chess. And at that point, he was at like on chess.com at something like 48,000 in some games, right? Which blew everybody's mind. They could not imagine so many games of chess. Well, 2 nights says 49,999. And I was saying, well, you got to play me for 50,000. So he did. And so Ross and I played. I got to say I was Ross his 50,000th game of chess on chess.com.
Nice.
I'd like to say that I won, but
I was going to ask that.
It was a moral victory.
Yes.
It took him like 17 moves to beat me.
That's good.
And the only reason I feel like he ended it then is because I got confused on who was the queen and king. And I moved the wrong one and I put it right in position. And I'm like, oh, you mean that's not the queen or whatever? And he was like, yeah, so.
But the other thing that's so interesting about that, his mind was blown. But I think my mind's blown that Ross can play that many games of chess. So I think that kind of just goes to show, how much time we can invest in the things that we're really interested in. And it might blow somebody else's mind, like that I've read that much, but it blows my mind that he's played that many games.
Yeah, if you're not a reader and you hear somebody say, I read 50 books in a year, they might as well have climbed Mount Everest.
Right.
But to a non-chess player, and maybe even 2 chess players,
right.
If they hear, I've played 50,000 games of chess online. Right. That may be like, holy smokes. Like, like that seems insurmountable. But to somebody who does it all the time, it's no big deal.
Or like to me, if somebody's like, I've baked, a cake a week or something. And I'd be like, what? I don't even know that I go in the kitchen, once a week, so it would be just, it's about like your
You're still working on that first cake in your lifetime.
Well, yeah, I've made a cake. Maybe. Not an edible one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an update. Ross hit the 50,000 mark and defeated me. Another update, and we haven't talked about this since really the first episode, I don't think. First or second. The reason we do this podcast is because of your Big 12.
Yes.
So you came up with an idea that when you turned 50, you wanted to come up with 12 things that you wanted to do.
Yes.
In the next year.
Yes.
Year being October to October or 2025?
The entire time that I would say that I'm 50 years old. So that year. So anytime that you're like, how old are you? And I say I'm 50. So the day I turn 51, that's the end. All
right. That's the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got a few months behind you. I mean, you got a little bit of a head start, so to speak, because that wasn't even a thing. So right. I thought it was a great idea.
Thanks.
And so I came up with my list also. My list has never been shared before.
Right.
Outside of you. But you shared, I think, most of your list on first or second episode as we talked about this, because one of the things on my list was start a podcast.
Right.
So this was the very first thing we did. November, I think it was,
Right.
of 2024, we started this podcast, and that was the first thing I checked off my list. So,
And who would have thought it would still be going? Because just because I had this idea, it didn't mean that it would be things that would stay consistent necessarily.
Right. Yeah. So give us an update. Give us recap. What are your 12? What have you checked off?
Well, and super quick, just why I did it. I feel like, people approach aging, particularly like turning 50 as like you're getting old and all you can do is join AARP, and people make all the jokes like you need your cane and walker and hair dye, and so it has so many negative connotations around it. So instead of like, when you were young, your birthday was quite the celebration. You wanted to turn 16 so you could drive. You wanted to turn 18 to be an adult. When you turn 50, most people aren't like, woohoo, I'm 50. A lot of people actually have a midlife crisis or get depressed. And so for me, I really wanted to challenge myself and be intentional about it. And I've read a lot about how doing new things, building relationships and community, puzzles like that use your brain, putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, those things help you grow as an individual. They think they even protect like against dementia and cognitive decline because you're using your brain in a different way. And so I really wanted this year to not all be about, I'm getting older and my body hurts, or I'm getting older and, I'm just sad.
Whenever you see someone that's significantly older than you, and they seem younger than they are,
right?
They always say, inevitably, you got to keep moving.
You got to keep active.
You got to stay active. You got to keep moving. Yes. The minute I slow down is the minute I die.
Right.
And sadly, you look at the folks that are older that are, not as active, and they've kind of. And
we don't just mean physically active. I mean like going out in the community and doing things, building relationships, trying new stuff.
They do. They start to slow down almost intentionally.
Yes.
Because maybe they get in their head.
Right.
Well, I'm this age, so I need to act this age.
So I guess this is kind of like my act of defiance to the world of like, okay, it's not like I can only learn when I'm young. Yes, I'm 50. I've hit that midlife, but I can still continue to grow, to challenge myself, and to learn new things. So in doing that, I came up with the big 12, but there's actually more than 12 on here because there were some of the things that due to the weather, different things I wasn't sure I would get to do. So then I was like, so I added a few more.
Which I'm going to go ahead and say I totally disagree with.
And why do you disagree with that?
Because it's 12. It's the big 12. You come up with 12. You say, I'm going to try my hardest to finish these 12 this year. You don't come up with 15 or 20 and say, all right, as long as I knock out 12 of these, then I've accomplished my goal.
No, that is not what I'm doing.
And if a window closes to where you cannot accomplish one of the things on your list, then it's closed.
No, that is not. Well, first of all, my rules, my big 12, I don't understand why you get to interject your rules and why this
because
impacts
you did not state these rules when you wrote this in the beginning. You didn't say, here's my initial 12. I'll add to it as I go if I don't accomplish something.
That is not, but I'm not adding to it if I don't accomplish something. What I did is I intentionally added more because I intend to either achieve, to at least achieve 12, but maybe exceed. That would be the ideal world. I intend to do even more than 12. I may do 14. But what I don't want to do is wake up on my birthday and have 11. That will be unacceptable.
Why?
Because that is... my head will explode. I mean, I'm stating now, I will achieve and or exceed.
Then you set
12.
your bars too low.
No. If anything, I set my bar too low.
No. If you can easily achieve, you've set that bar too low. It will take a monumental act to be able to get all 12 of these done.
That is a ridiculous thing to say, because that's like saying to a student, oh, I set my sights on being valedictorian. And you're like, oh, well, you set your bar too low if you think you can do it. I mean, no, I'm saying.
No, because valedictorian's the best.
Well, so achieving more than 12 is the best.
All right. Here's what it's equal to then. I'm in school. And for 4 years, I take nothing but gen ed classes. You're in school and you take nothing but AP and honors classes. Right. We both end up at, let's say they don't weight the classes differently. We end up both co-valedictorians. You know, you would feel
that
like
would be unfair, but
yes, because you would say, Mike, your bar was set too low.
But this is you arbitrarily judging, and you know that some of the things on my list are the exact same things as things on your list. So maybe you set your bar too low. These are not like things that cannot,
or maybe you took them from the list.
What I acknowledge and affirm you, because I know you like positive words of affirmation, that I did like some of your ideas and use them. But my point is, these are all difficult to achieve, but I am an overachiever. So for me, it will be unacceptable in my mind to, like, let's say hit 11. That's like if I go for a run and I tell myself that I'm doing 3.1 miles, I can't stop at 3.09. I need to do 3.1 or more. Like, I cannot, it's like this mental block. And that's the way this is. Like, I have to hit 12, and ideally I'll hit 14. So I put, because I will achieve or exceed my goal. And all of them are difficult. And the ones that I added just because of this, I will tell you, like, one of them was weather dependent. I tried everything in my power to do it. It's the one, if people go back and listen to the episode when I talked about skiing. But that was out of my control.
That's closed.
No, it is not a window that is closed.
So now you have a big 11.
I am not going to be penalized because the weather and the crowds and the ski slope prohibited me from doing. No, it was not poor planning. What I'm saying is, I am not going to be punished or feel like I cannot achieve something for things that are out of my control. The other thing is, I don't understand how you feel like you can speak into what my rules are for my Big 12.
Well, let's hear your Big 12. This
entire concept is my Big 12.
Let's hear your big.
Okay.
Because let's hear your big infinity.
Oh, it's not infinity. It's
because it can be anything.
It is not. That is not true. Like, again, my Big 12,
that's fine.
My rules.
All right, big infinity. Let's go.
Okay, no, my Big 12, stop it. My Big 12, my rules, stop it. That is not funny. And you even like Big 12 so much, you took it, and now you think you get to be the control freak, the dictator of all things Big 12, and you get to come in and like poke holes into what I'm doing. That's ridiculous. No, it's my Big 12, my rules.
I feel like you gave me a board game that had rules, and I memorized those rules. And then you came out with a second edition with updated rules that changes the game completely.
Okay.
Because you said,
do you want to know why this matters?
These are 12 things that we're going to do that are very structured, rigid, static. That this is it.
Okay, so we're playing Lost Cities. That's a 2-player game. You are correct. You can't change the rules. I'm over here playing solitaire. I don't know. I can, if I decide that I think something, I want to try the game a new way, how does that impact you? I'm living my life. It is not impacting how you live your life, and it's not impacting how you do your Big 12.
I'm just saying, I feel like I was sold a bill of false goods.
Well, you can like have your sensitive feelings around this, but
let's hear your 12.
Okay.
We haven't even got to
okay, well, you
yet.
said, when you talk about low bar, well, these first 3 were inspired by you. A trip, just me and Joshua, a trip, just me and Maria, and a trip, just me and Jacob. Now, I automatically knew when I typed these out that you'd be like, well, noticeably absent on this list is me. Why don't you have a trip that's just me and Mike? But we do trips often, just us. I've never done a trip, just Jacob and me. And I don't think until I had this on this list, I'd done a trip with just Joshua and me. And so this was about being, now I had with Maria, but this was about being really deliberate and intentional so that I would, hopefully make this happen. art class. So I have done some different artistic things. I'm not especially talented when it comes to drawing or anything, but I've taken like an acrylic art class and painted a flower. I think people can tell it's a flower, but yeah, so I feel like that's one, but that's very much outside of my comfort zone. I've never felt like I was good at art. Spontaneous trip, knocked that one out when I went to Germany. So right there out of those 5, I haven't done the trip with just Jacob, so I've still got to do that.
All right, so you're up to 4 right now.
Yeah, pickleball. Learn to play. So I am actively working right now to get some pickleball lessons because that's like learning this new sport, learning this new activity. Star in one of Maria's movies. That's a good one because now I can say I'm like a movie star because.
Have you starred in one of her movies yet?
Yes, we shared it on this.
Was that after your birthday or before?
That was after.
Okay.
And also, how many people can say they're a movie star? See, I'm a movie star because I'm a star in that movie. Also, this is the one where you are putting the big asterisk and being like, oh, well, I don't know. The winter sport. So I tried to go skiing and that didn't work out. And so, but I have decided after your continuous challenging of me that maybe I'll just try to find a flight and go do this winter sport because that was on the original list. And I do not want you to later say, Beth, you didn't truly do it.
Well, you got till the end of October. Surely the first or second week of October, there's snow somewhere.
Where? But that's also, that is pushing it really close to be, because then what if we have with global warming and
it's not my fault
hot,
that window closed during the winter.
Well, no, but I'm saying, I guess then, okay, I'll look for a flight next week because I'll just see if I can, or like, is it still snowing up north? I'll just go to like a friend and see if I can go snowshoeing in their backyard or Minnesota. Maybe I'll find somebody there. I don't know, but I'm going to try to, I guess I'll have to do that. It cannot be replaced with anything else. Then I had like an outdoor activity that's new, like either learning to scuba dive or fly fish. Something like that I've never done. I don't know which, but part of that, and I know you're probably like, oh, well, that is an either or, so that can't count. But I know scuba diving takes gear and can be expensive and the time commitment. So I just need to make sure that something's feasible. So fly fishing, we have a fly rod. Learn to play a video game. So I've tried to play with the video game controller and my brain won't connect, like when I'm moving my head to look versus moving my body. And so I would like to learn to play like Red Dead Redemption or something because all the kids have played it, but I'm going to need... That's quite the investment of time. I know because it's got a story.
Now, when you say learn to play, are you talking about not just learning to play, but completing a certain percentage of the game?
Well, that would be nice. I would like to get... Okay, Josh tried to... I couldn't even get past the practice mode where you like try to learn to like... do something with chameleons or whatever. I mean, I couldn't even get past that. So I guess I need to at least make it through like one module or what do y'all call them? I don't know how that works.
I don't play it.
Oh, okay. But,
or Minecraft, Fortnite, I mean, would that count?
Well, it would, but I can't even do Minecraft because again, I got so lost trying to move my little Minecraft person. I was flying in the air when I was supposed to just look up, and I got really confused and overwhelmed.
That's part of trying something new. Is maybe now you can learn how to play Minecraft.
Well, that
if 2-year-olds can do it, maybe you can.
Well, that is some. Now, see, now you're making it sound like this is a low bar, but for me, as a person who has tried to play and it was very challenging, then this is a challenge for me. Run a half marathon.
See, at least on mine, there's none on mine that a 3-year-old could accomplish.
Okay. All right. Let's back up. Okay. That is completely, there's one on yours that a 3-year-old could accomplish, and I'll comment on that later. But this is, again.
Not without help.
This is also you judging how difficult these things are based on standards that you have for you and what you're good at or not good at.
You're right.
This is about what is challenging. I have high standards too, but this is about what is challenging for me.
I know. And so I get it.
No, you don't. You're giving me those judgy eyes. I don't like it. Run a half marathon. I'm set to run one in September. I'd write a short story or a book and visit a new state. So that puts me over 12. I've gotten a lot of these done or I'm actively working on them. So again, achieve or exceed. That is the goal, is to achieve or exceed. But now that you have poked holes, I know that one thing, the listeners don't know this, but Mike likes to say when we play a game, like let's say there's disagreement over a rule and there's 4 of us sitting there and 3 of us are like, this is what the rule means. Mike says, okay, Beth, I'll give it to you, but I'm going to put an asterisk by it. So then if I win, he's like, oh, but there's an asterisk by that. So you didn't really win. I refuse to let that happen. So I'm going to figure out this winter sport thing because I'm not going to have an asterisk by this. This is like, I'm going to do it. It's going to.
Or you know what?
What?
You have a concrete 12 that you attempt.
This is a concrete.
And you attempted the scheme. You got there and they were so full.
No. This is not like I'm going to go try, but not finish.
Okay, let's say.
This is like you have to like do these.
You're running your half marathon.
Yes.
You get food poisoning like our friend Chuck.
Okay,
and you can't finish that race. So does that count or not?
I think in my head, probably not because I'm a purist. And so then because of the food poisoning, maybe I would allow myself a little grace to go like a month past and do another half marathon. But for me, I would feel like I needed to finish it, even though it would take all this training. And I might have, maybe if I run the equivalent, maybe if it's not even a race, because I just said I need to run a half marathon. So it doesn't have to be a race. So I guess I would come home and try to.
No, listen. Okay. If you say I'm going to run a half marathon, 100% of people assume it's a race.
Okay, but
nobody assumes you're going to go out and just run.
But now that you've spoken this food poisoning or whatever into my half marathon, I guess I'm just saying. Again, just like with the winter sports, I guess I'm going to have to go have some backup half marathons before October because my half marathon's in September. So I don't know if I'll even be able to
That's cutting it close, Beth.
Okay, so maybe I need to try to do a pre-half marathon before the half marathon in case the half marathon doesn't happen.
Maybe you need to just extend it to December. Just say 2025.
No, I am not extending
You've extended your list of 12. You can extend your list of 12 months.
No. I extend the list of 12 so that I can exceed my goal. I didn't extend the list of 12 just to extend it. Extending, but the time period is the opposite.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. That is giving me more time. That's making it easier.
You just said your exact words. I extended my goal so I could meet my goal.
No, I said so I could exceed.
So I could exceed my goal.
Yes.
Well, doesn't it make sense then? You can exceed your months? You can extend your months so you can exceed?
No, it's harder to do 14 in 12 months than it is to do 12 in 12 months. It's easier to do 14 in 14 months than it is. Do you see? Like, you're making it easier by extending the time.
You're going to probably accomplish 11 out of 12.
Okay, why are you speaking this? Like, you are, this negativity into this. This, I have told you, will achieve and or exceed. Like, I do not
think your window closed on the snow.
No, I will not. Okay, I may go look at a Frontier flight right now. Maybe, you know what? I just won't be able to help host our podcast because I'll have to fly out tomorrow morning and on a Frontier flight and get somewhere so I can go do a Black Diamond in Colorado because that's probably all that's out there. That's the other thing. I didn't want to have to learn to ski in some super intimidating place. Or maybe I'll try to go snowshoeing. I'll call every friend that I have that lives in the north and be like, is there still snow? Can I come up and try to go walk around and, snowshoe or something?
What about ice skating? Does ice skating count?
I've already been ice skating before. So I don't know. I don't think that can count. I mean, I guess that is a winter sport, but see, no, it doesn't in my head. But again, this is because
I've already done. What if you ride snowmobiles? Would that count?
No, that would count. Because that's like a winter sport. That's a winter activity that I've never done. And when would I get to do that? You know, we don't have snowmobiles here. But now that you have done this, I guess it's going to be like the big 14 with no asterisk or something. I don't know.
It's the big infinity with asterisk.
No, stop. It is.
It's the big infinity with asterisk.
It is not the big infinity. And again, this is my challenge to myself for personal growth so that I can be intentional in goal setting and be intentional in putting myself outside of my comfort zone and be intentional in doing things that challenge me. So my rules. Again, I'm playing solitaire over here. I don't need you to be like judge, jury, referee, whatever to everything that I'm doing. I will let you have your own rules on your 12.
See, I'm looking over your shoulder watching you play solitaire, and you're putting diamonds on spades.
I am not playing solitaire. I can't see this. I'm not playing solitaire.
I'm saying like figuratively, you're not even playing solitaire right.
No, that is not. I'm not talking about doing. I do not understand. You have made it sound like
they're going to take this podcast. When I say they, I mean psychologists and psychiatrists, and study this one day.
Well, I hope they do.
And be like, listen to this woman.
And she achieved a lot of goals, or exceeded a lot of goals. That's what they'll say. That's a case study in achieving and exceeding.
I think the philosophical question is, what is a goal? If you can change it, if it's fluid,
no.
What is a goal?
I am not changing these goals. I added 2 extra. I don't understand. What about this math is so challenging for you?
No. You added 2 extra to make sure you could get 12.
Okay.
True or false? True or false?
Well, no, I'll say so I could exceed. But the other reason I have 2 extra is, again, in case if I break my ankle right now, I can't do some of these things because I won't be able to. So I wanted to proactively have some things in place.
Do you think when you get to heaven one day, if you got 12 out of 12, you're going to have a nicer house than me who may get 11 out of 12?
No, this has nothing to do with, all I'm saying is, for me internally.
Or you think Jesus is going to say, hey, but you found a loophole that wasn't there, Beth?
No, that is not what this is about. See, you are not comparing apples to apples right now. You have taken this totally off track.
I think this is what's happening. I'm looking at this Big 12, my list, through the eyes of Jesus. I'm looking at it from a spiritual standpoint, biblical, black and white. This is what it is. You're looking at your Big 12 through the eyes of the legal system, where... if we can kind of,
you're trying
or skirt this, or, we'll just say, the interpretation of the law is what is going to be.
No, you are trying to superimpose your belief system around your Big 12 that you built in your head onto my Big 12.
Based on what you gave me.
You
gave me the materials and the blueprints.
Well, isn't that interesting? If I am the originator who came up with the entire concept, then why can I not have these extra 2?
You gave me blueprints to a house. I built the house, and you said it's just like mine. And then I walk over to yours, and now yours is like 3 stories, 8-car garage.
Because I want to have some creative liberties with it. I want to be able to be spontaneous.
Then why didn't you give me those blueprints?
Well, you can have that. You can be spontaneous. You're just a control freak and not comfortable with spontaneity. So, that's why you can't handle this, is because it's not in your rigid rules.
If they took our blood pressure right now, I'm not the one whose blood pressure is going through the roof.
I do not know how you took something so simple that doesn't exist anywhere in the world and dissected it in such a way that, it's undercut.
Well, I think it's time to reveal my Big 12.
I am inspiring that way.
Although, obviously, I misunderstood the rules.
Oh, no. Let's not do that. Let's just keep going. Talk about your Big 12. We don't have all day to keep fighting.
Let me just, here's the way I'm doing it. Here's my personal rules. They don't have to be your rules. I came up with a list of 12 things that would really, for the most part, stretch me or be something different that I hadn't done before. And just 12. If I don't get some of these 12, I just don't get some of these 12. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but I have set a goal to do all 12 things on my list.
Right.
A few of them I've already checked off. Some of them I think could come in bunches, depending on how the events line up.
Yeah.
But I've never spoke of my Big 12 before to anyone but you. So this will be the world debut.
The great unveiling. Yes.
All right. So number 1, obviously, was start a podcast.
Yes.
We said that the first episode back in November 2024, that we're doing a podcast because I'd always wanted to start one. Hey, let's put it on my list and let's do it.
I just want to say you're welcome. I mean, for doing this.
We are all here because of you, Beth. Too, because
thanks.
you inspired the Big 12, which inspired me to get off my butt and do a podcast.
And I join you all these weeks too.
You do.
Which just makes this so much more fun, right?
And you're missed when you're not here.
Oh, thanks.
Write a book.
Goodness. Okay. As a person, I know you've written sermons, but have you even ever written a poem or a short story? You're just going to dive in and do a book?
Yeah. What do you think a sermon is? That's like a...
But it's not a book. That's what I'm saying. You've written sermons, but that is not a book.
Here's what all these mega pastors do.
Okay.
The Andy Stanleys, the Craig Rochelle's, whoever.
Who have really big staffs, I think. But keep going.
They just take a sermon series.
Yes.
And turn it into a book. That's it.
Yeah.
So my plan is to do that.
Okay.
I've had some sermon series that when they finish, I had people say, gosh, that would make a pretty good book. So my goal is to somehow come up with that, put that in book form, and we'll sell it.
Why don't we just do it as co-authors? Because then that helps me reach one of my goals and you can reach yours too at the same time. And we both win.
No.
Well, you made me be a co-participant in this podcast.
I didn't make you. I said I'm going to do it if you want to join me.
Well, I'm just saying.
I've done it regardless.
But I'm just saying, I'm helping you with this one. We could do the book together.
You're not going to share in my glory? Yeah. Glory hog. All right. Another one I have is visit a new state.
Yes.
The problem with me is a lot of my states are kind of those flyover states. And I really haven't been northeast. Like northeast, northwest of the U.S. I haven't been to those corners.
See, I have, but I need the middle of the United States.
And so mine's like, the upper corners and a few flyover states. That's it.
Yeah, I need like Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas.
I have not been to Arkansas, and right now that's penciled in as a potential spot that I may try to go to.
I've heard it's got some really cool stuff. And one of our summer staff from group work camps, went to school in Arkansas and told all these stories about great bike trails and outdoorsy stuff. I think you just have to time when you go.
Yeah. So another one I had is visit a new country, which we already have. Went to Antigua.
You can listen to that podcast. Yeah.
Another one I have is take a trip with just Beth. Aww. So that one knocked off with Antigua. See, even though you didn't have it with me, I had it with you.
I know, but look, I am being very selfless. I have helped you accomplish numerous goals that are on your list.
I mean, one. I could have visited a country by myself. I could have started a podcast by myself.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm being very supportive. Keep going.
Another one I have, and we'll just go ahead because you already acknowledged you stole these from me. Take a trip with just Jacob, take a trip with just Maria, take a trip with just Joshua.
Right.
So that's just an overnight trip or a couple overnights somewhere. So we'll do that.
And you've done it. You've done a trip just like you and the boys, or just you and Maria. But this would be something new. Right. It's just odd for us to do one with or you and I did a trip with Joshua or something. So this would be really different. Just you and that child. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I have get a tattoo.
Okay. Now that for me, I am so indecisive. Remember that analysis paralysis we talk about that I have. I don't know what I would want and where I would want it on my body.
I've never had a tattoo. I'm going to get one this year. Mm-hmm. I know what I want. Mm-hmm. I know where I want it to go.
So tell us what it is and where it's going to be.
It'll just be debuted. It'll be a surprise to everyone.
Is it like I love my mom over your heart or something?
I love Beth.
Oh, of course. So romantic.
And underneath that hashtag meth. My problem is I don't know who I want to do it.
Right.
So I have the what and the where.
Well, where on your body. Yeah. You just don't have the who.
I don't have the who.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes me nervous.
How big is it going to be? Is it like massive?
I mean, you just got to wait and see.
Okay.
Wait and see.
I'm just,
but I have a really good idea and I have a place. And now I just need to find out who. And I even thought about going on one of these Facebook sites for our local communities and saying, hey, if you're a tattoo artist and you'd like free advertisement and sponsorship of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast, how about hooking me up with a free tattoo?
Yeah. I don't know that I would do that. I mean, I think if somebody wants to like supply donuts for an event free or, send us some suntan lotion to try, that's one thing. But a permanent mark on your body, permanent, that has to look good.
See, I think that puts the pressure on them because they know I'm going to be on my podcast, going out to the masses, telling them good or bad. I could make or break their business.
Haven't you met those people that think they're a lot better than they are? Especially, so you could have somebody like, I've never done a tattoo in my life, but I think I'd be really good at it.
Well,
so I'm just going to go do this for this guy.
Place. I mean, I'd have to check reviews.
I don't know. That's too, I wouldn't do that. Anyway.
Right. Another thing I have is tent camp for at least one night.
Yes, that would be exciting.
Now, you might think, well, why is that such a big deal? But I've only tent camp that I know of. I can only think of like one time really in my, maybe two times in my life, but once was with a youth group. And then once was with
that was when you went biking, right? And then,
And then once when our church took a backpacking trip on the Appalachian Trail.
Would we do like 4 days, 3 nights,
Something
and we
like
carried our tents? But that was a little different, I guess, because even though we tent camped, you had like a big group helping like cook and stuff like that.
See, I'm envious when I hear people talk about, loading up their backpack and heading out for a night or 2 or 3, to go hiking and tent camping. Like, I want to do that. Like, I've always wanted to. I just never have. And
see, I find this interesting because during COVID, the kids wanted to tent camp outside. And so Maria had her tent, and Joshua was younger. So Joshua and I were doing a tent. Maria somehow wired electricity to her tent. But noticeably absent was you. You had an opportunity to tent camp in our backyard.
All right, let's rewind. You just said it was during COVID.
Yes.
I didn't want to be in the same house with all you people. Like, why am I going to go outdoors in my backyard and stay in a tent?
And be in a tent. Okay, point taken. But I'm just saying there are opportunities to tent camp.
Oh, yes. There's been a million opportunities. Yeah. And I could go anytime. I just haven't. So it took me putting it on the list, I think, for me to do that.
That you're really going to make it happen. Mm-hmm.
And I like the survival shows. Like my all-time favorite survival show is Naked and Afraid. And so I would, this from
you always think
from
you
the
can
first
do it.
episode of the first season. I was like, Beth, I can do this.
But how do they? I mean, I just like sunburn, bugs, like food. I mean, how on earth would you do all that?
I can willpower all that. I really think like Naked and Afraid is about just sheer willpower.
You can't willpower one night tent camping in the backyard with your family. I don't know.
I mean, there's some things that
so that's right. So being dropped off in the middle of a jungle with strangers that are also somewhere in the jungle competing against you with nothing, literally not even clothes on your back. Mm-hmm. That is preferable to tent camping in the backyard with your family.
I think half our listeners are in agreement right now.
Gosh.
That could be our poll.
Naked and Afraid.
Camping or tent camp.
Now, if that's the poll question, people need to understand. They need to at least Google Naked and Afraid so they'll know the concept because, so they'll understand what they're responding to.
I mean, I've been naked and I've been afraid. Now I just need to be outdoors is the way I see it. I think I can do it.
Okay, good times. Okay, good stuff.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, you just got to combine it all together.
Yeah.
And then that leads me to number 12, which is the other half of Naked and Afraid. Mm-hmm. So if I figure if I can get the outdoors part down, the second part is the naked part. And so I would like to run a naked 5K.
That may be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard you say in your entire life. Is this something you go run on a treadmill barefoot or something?
No, they have these races. It's like the fastest growing race type in the world.
That sounds miserable.
You put on shoes.
Embarrassing. It sounds gross and like, ugh. I'm getting the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. Like, ugh.
Well, let me try it.
Well, I hope we don't have a lot of naked marathoners or anything listening to us that are going to be personally offended by my reaction. But
I might get a sponsorship.
I think that Okay, I'm beginning to think that something has happened. Have you not been doing your sleep apnea machine and like you're like having memory lapses and brain
the problem
functioning
is I have
problems?
been doing my sleep apnea machine, so my CPAP has now awakened me to
gosh.
a new world.
Oh,
it's like
please.
I feel enlightened and my mind is open and clear for the first time in years.
Yeah, well, these are some interesting ideas, I'd say. Yeah,
So really, if I could find a state that I haven't been to
yes.
that has a naked 5K that will let me come camp overnight
And get a tattoo.
and get a tattoo while I'm there,
You have like
I will crush
you're
this.
almost finished. Oh, you know, I've got another idea. Why don't you throw in, if somebody else running with you could like record thoughts from you about your book, so you can get started on
might be my
transcribing
book.
the book. Oh, your adventures, yes, and your naked and afraid camping experience / whatever. Okay, yeah. That'll be a bestseller, definitely somewhere for someone. Maybe. I wouldn't hold my breath on that. Sorry, Mike. I don't mean to, but yeah. So why don't we, since those are also weird, why don't we, not all of them, but the last ones.
I'm adding a 13. That's 12. So
Oh,
I've added a 13.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. No, that is impermissible because you have very rigid rules around this. So no 13th. But
No, I do have a 13th. My 13th is going to be to prevent you from getting 12.
no, okay.
Because now I know how crazy it will drive you.
No.
And you will be insane if you don't get 12. That's my new asterisk amendment number 13.
No.
I will do everything in my power to prevent you from getting 12.
Then I don't know. I'll go a list so you won't remember these things. So you won't know. It'll be like a surprise. You won't know when I'm learning to play pickleball or going to do a winter sport. I think that's just wrong. What happened to like supporting each other and stuff like that?
I did have one more on there.
Yes. Now this one I know about and I'm excited about, unlike half of your other really weird ones.
So that was the 11. The 12th that I skipped over was take an improv class.
Yes. And I knew about that one. So I found a place and that's what I gave you for Christmas. And you finally cashed it in and you've had your first class.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated by like improv, stand-up comedy. And so when we were making out these lists, I put down take an improv class, not even knowing where you do such a thing.
Yeah.
And then for Christmas, you found a location in Greensboro that does improv classes, and they do like a 3-week session for beginners. And so I finally was able to find 3 weeks in a row where I was free on that same night. So I started this past Monday night and went to my first improv class, and I got 2 more improv classes to go.
So it's interesting because when you said you wanted to do this, I was kind of like, the only exposure I have to improv class is the episodes where Michael Scott on The Office wants to do improv. And he always wants to be, he's always like Michael Scarn or whatever, that undercover agent. So he always has a gun and and then he would go whisper to the people and they'd be like, Michael, you cannot do this. Is that kind of what, I don't fully even grasp what improv is.
There is a guy in my class like that.
Oh, no.
So there's 9 of us in the class. The lady teaching the class has been teaching improv for 26 years. Super nice lady. I don't remember her name.
She made quite the impact on you, but
she
keep going.
Did. I don't even know if she even said it. She might have once. But there's 9 of us in the class. Out of the 9 of us, 3 have taken the class before, and they're back taking it again because they had so much fun. 1 is a stand-up comic who is wanting to take the improv class to help him improve his stand-up game. And then the other 5 of us are from all walks of life, just brand new. Let's just give it a try. So one of the guys that is doing it again, he's like Michael Scott in that Michael Scott always wanted to be an FBI agent.
Yes.
Everything had to do with the FBI.
Right. That's why he was always like, no, Michael, we're not doing that.
This guy always wants to do Lord of the Rings.
Now, is he going to be like, Smeagol with my precious? Does he sit around with
Did
his
I tell
ring?
you that?
No, did he do that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, no, I didn't know. That's just the first thing that comes to mind.
All right, so the exercises we had to do was we had to get up in front of everybody on the stage, and then somebody would yell out a topic, and you would have to talk. Would have to a minute,
right?
So mine was toe socks.
Oh, I could have spoken at length about toe socks. I know this could be for another episode, but when I clerked for the federal judge, I had some great ideas around toe socks.
Well, save that because
yes.
I'll tell you what, if you do the improv class with me, I will yell out toe socks.
Because I was going to say that would be my luck, though no one would ever yell out toe socks when I'm completely prepared.
So anyway, a girl gets up there.
By the way, what do you do though? Are you just like, toe socks, what are they good for? I mean, what are you doing about toe socks?
I just started talking and that's when in the improv class I learned, reaffirmed, I'm good at making up stuff on the fly on my feet.
Yeah.
People probably
kind of like storytelling in a way.
Yeah, you know, and I've gotten to the point now when I write my sermons and I have my sermon notes, I'll just put like in my bullet points, EX, for example.
Mm-hmm. Like, just example of something that comes to your head.
Most of the time, I just come up with the examples live while I'm preaching. Like I just let it, all right, Holy Spirit, just give me an example and let me use it.
Right.
Unless it's like a story that is truly built into
the sermon. Right.
You know, like this past week's I did or whatever. But so I can do that. I can get on stage. I've been on stage essentially my whole life.
Yeah.
You know, I can talk in front of people. I can talk loud.
And you can even talk at length about toe socks.
I can make stuff up. So I'm good at that part. Like if you just give me something and let me control it, I can talk and I'm fine. So what happened was a girl got up there. She was like, all right, I need a topic. And this guy yells out, Samwise from Lord of the Rings. And the teacher just said, she didn't even look at him. She said, we're not doing Lord of the Rings.
That's exactly like the episode from The Office. And
I thought, man, this chick really hates Lord of the Rings, right? Like, I thought it was her. But then later on, we were doing another exercise where she would give you a setting. And then you had to come up with little like one-liners.
So is it something like a girl's bedroom or a doghouse?
So she was like, things that you wouldn't want to hear at a wedding.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, and then you would step forward. We were all lined up on the back wall. You step forward and then say something, you know. He steps up and goes, give me back my precious. The ring. I must have the ring.
Oh, gosh.
And that teacher just sat there and just looked at him like, and I thought, she doesn't hate Lord of the Rings. She hates him doing Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, she doesn't like that part.
She's probably already sat through God knows how many classes
of
with this
Lord
guy
of the Rings.
Wanting to do Lord of the Rings.
Maybe it's incorporated, and there's a lot of movies and books on that. They are long, so you can incorporate a lot of material with Frodo and Samwise and Smeagol and all of that.
I never got to pair up with him, but I did decide that when I do get a chance to pair up with him, if I get to initiate, I'm doing Lord of the Rings.
And are you going to do a certain scene from it, or
I don't know what I'm
going to do? Excited?
I might do something and just get it wrong, like Jim would do in The Office with Dwight with Battlestar Galactica.
Like you'd say something like, wasn't when Spock was on Battlestar Galactica, and he'd be like, "What?" Spock wasn't there. I'd be like, so, Frodo, tell me what it's like being a giant. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
His mind would explode.
Or Samwise, what did you think of Harry Potter when he, you've got to do something like that.
Yeah. What Harry Potter house are you from, Frodo?
Gotcha. I could see him like losing his mind.
He would lose his mind. So,
but you're good at those, so you felt pretty confident.
I felt good at that.
Felt good. Mm-hmm.
We did other exercises where we pair up and one person initiates and then the other person follows it up with an interaction. And it's called yes and.
So like what's an example of that?
Like I would say something like, you won't believe what I just found in my basement.
And I'd be like, I hope it wasn't that rat that died last week, or I don't know, something like, something like that. Yeah.
So yes, and is yes, I agree. Like, you found something. Like and the and is what you're adding on to it. So like, I actually used that one when I initiated with one of the girls. We walked up and I said, I was like, honey, you won't believe what I just found in our basement. And she froze. And she was like, a dinosaur. And the teacher was
not
like,
even a
done.
dinosaur. So like that teacher's like,
teacher's like, next.
Oh dear. Yeah.
And then you had to, they wanted you to like continue on. So like, I would say I would initiate. You would do
with
a yes
the basement.
and.
So like
I would do a yes and, and you would do. So it would be a common.
And then so like when I did like what about, is it that dead rat? And then you would say whatever like in response to that. Okay.
And so like for example, again, I walked up. Everything was marriage to me, right? Like, and so anytime there was like a girl or a woman who was with me, I just kind of thought the easiest scenario for me to come up with is a family.
Yeah.
So like another time I had to initiate, me and this girl step on stage together, and I kind of turned and faced the audience and kind of put my hand out and was just like, and I said, I took a big, like, breathe in, inhale, and I said, honey, there is nothing like the smell of the great outdoors. And then she came back and said, I agree, but where in the world are we?
Oh, that's nice.
And then I answered, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
And she burst out laughing. And then the teacher was like, well, you broke her. Next.
Yeah.
Like, everybody laughed. It was funny, but, she could have continued with, why did you bring me to New Jersey? But she laughed.
So I guess then, like, with improv, so like stand up, you're kind of doing what you do when you preach. You've got like your bullet points or your memorized stuff, and you're making people laugh. And improv's more about situational, like responding and stuff.
It is. Improv is improvisational. I mean, it's you're having to improvise right there on the spot. So I did really good at the stuff I could control.
Right.
The stuff that was out of my comfort zone was when I had to be the receiver. When somebody would walk up and say a line,
right,
I would have to come up.
So when I started off,
this girl, woman, she initiated, and she was like, oh, my car battery, something like that. Right. And then I came up and they initiated, and they said, I did not study for my. We have a test in second period, and I did not study for it. And then I had to.
And that's when everybody goes into their bad dream of, well, I showed up naked in class, because how people always have that nightmare where they're in class or something. But like, so.
But not me. I was naked on the track team running to my tent.
No, but you're not necessarily trying to be funny. You're just trying to keep the conversation going.
Because the art of improv isn't about you being a comedian. The art of improv is creating situations that are so outlandish. That's what makes people laugh, that they can relate to, I've had a dead battery in my car.
Right. So then you could have been like, well, if you didn't leave your lights on all the time, and then she could go into, well, I leave my lights on all the time because I have to keep my high beams on this alien from outer space or whatever, that keeps it going. Right. Yeah. Okay.
And that's just, you're just doing two people. And then eventually, I'm sure this week we'll start adding a third or fourth, And so eventually when you get a group, then you've got different ideas coming in. And, like she said, the teacher was like, there's no right or wrong response to a response. Right. As far as, one guy said something about you really bombed that. And for whatever reason, the person that heard that immediately went to golf. And I was like, oh yeah, I bombed that shot, and like they were swinging a golf club, like that was but that was not at all what they were talking about.
Right, because he might have been talking about a test or a speech
or
a job
like
interview.
He was flying a plane.
Oh. Well, okay then.
And so the other person was like, they didn't hear everything.
Yeah.
They just heard something about bomb. And then they just thought,
Golf club swing.
do some type of, sports, whatever. And so the teacher was like, that's fine. She was like, that's what makes improv funny is when you get two people that are talking about the same thing, but from different things.
They're connecting it in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
So then does this mean you keep talking about what you're good at? So did you just get an A++++ like Ralphie in his daydreams?
I think I got an A on the stuff I could come up with on my own and control. I probably got C+ to a B on having to receive and come up with the yes and. I got an F in one area.
And what was that?
Anything that had to do with memory. Because, or having to associate things quick on your feet. We did this one exercise where we got in a circle and one person had to get in the middle and start singing a song. It could be any song at all. And then at some point in that song, we all had to be, and the exercise was about, you have to listen, you have to, and so I think that's what makes improv, why so many people take it for self-growth and for personal growth is it teaches you have to be in the moment. You have to pay attention to every word that person you're with is saying.
I think I should make all my students in my investigations master's class take an improv class because that's one of the things we talk about. We actually just talked about it this week about how people are so busy thinking about their own next question or taking notes that they're not comfortable like just listening. Yeah.
And so,
so like, how does this song thing work?
So the person's singing a song and we have to listen and hopefully you know the song.
Right.
And you listen for a word or a phrase and then you literally step up, tag the person in the shoulder and start singing a different song, but it somehow blends in.
So like with the tune or the word. So like if I'm like, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
I might jump in and be like, islands in the stream, that is what we are.
And then I would probably come up with some Jimmy Buffett song that, of course, now, as you've told me this.
Okay, just like that, I would say, that is what we are. And then somebody could come in and be like, are you lonesome tonight?
Yes.
Or whatever.
Or if you like pina coladas, because I don't know, I just think about those. Can you do that though? Because you drink pina coladas on an island or something.
Yes.
Yeah. And then getting drunk in the rain, and then somebody else would do something about rain.
Kentucky rain is coming down.
Okay,
like that,
Yeah. But that actually is hard because even now I was like saying, oh yeah, do a Jimmy Buffett song, but like no song is coming to my, like my brain is stopped.
I pride myself on knowing music.
Yeah.
I don't know any modern music. And to me, modern music is the last 25 years.
Right.
But if you give me 1999 back to the 50s, there's not many songs I haven't heard. And most
That's
of
why
them
when we played the radio game, you could dominate.
I can crush at music trivia. Music. I love music. Billy Joel is one of my favorite artists.
We've even seen him in concert.
Several times.
Yeah.
A guy got in the middle and was singing Piano Man.
Right.
I could sing that song in my sleep.
Right.
Except for that night. I could not think of one word from that song.
You're like, what's a piano?
Yeah, I was like, what is this song he's singing? It's pretty good.
I should go listen to it.
But my brain was so focused on trying to, it was like I was focusing too hard.
Right.
I was listening. I was like, all right, because I was anticipating what he was going to say or what he just said, trying to think of a song that could go with it.
Yeah.
And my brain was not working.
It couldn't jump and make that connection.
Some of those folks were just like, boom, boom. They were nailing it.
Yeah.
And then there were some of us. I think I struggled the worst. So it was not good.
I think the other thing, though, before this, would you have felt like, I don't know, something wasn't easy? Because I think that's one of the things, like going back to this Big 12, I think once when you've done your work a long time, you've done a lot of the same exercise routine a long time, you kind of know lots of things become more routine and you're good at them. So, I mean, I have lots of stress in my life, but the stress isn't necessarily like, oh, I'm anxious because I don't know what to say or I'm not prepared. I don't know. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? So like, how did that feel for you? Because I'm sure you're the same.
Well, I mean, I think that's the thing with the Big 12. I picked things that were so far out of my comfort zone, it would make me nervous.
Right.
It's been a long time since I felt nervous.
Yeah.
I'm not nervous anymore when I get up to speak, you know, whether it's 10 people or 10,000 people.
Yeah.
I don't think it would bother me. I don't push myself and put myself in situations that, you know, make me nervous. And I'm not scared. I'm not, you know.
Because even if we're adventurous and try new things, you're not necessarily like, I'm going to go bungee jumping every week or learn, you know, or something. Or,
And so that's why I tried to do stuff and come up with some things on my list. Like the tattoo, I'm going to be nervous about.
Right.
You know, this improv class.
Yeah.
I felt like a ninth grader going into first grade, first time going to high school, because are people going to talk to me? Are they going to like me? Am I going to be good enough? Are people going to laugh at me? You know, all the
because
things.
you know how references. You know what I mean? You know how to do those. You know how to do board game things now. Like, you know how to go like to a board stuff.
Yeah. And so I was nervous. It was weird. And even, you know,
like the butterflies in your stomach kind of thing.
Yeah. And even leaving, I felt that anxiety of, you know, do they think I'm stupid? Are they wondering why this old dude's in there?
Yeah.
You know? There's one guy that's older than me. And then there's me. And then there's a couple of dudes that might be in their 40s.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is like 30s and 20s.
Yeah.
And maybe late 20s. And so I'm definitely on the older. I'm the second oldest one. The second older than the teacher. It was nervous, but.
Well, you know what, though? But, like, even in my art class, I will say, when we started off, they were like, okay, just paint the background, which anybody can do. And then we had to paint these fence posts, which is literally like you're painting a straight line, and I'm listening in detail. But then she said, well, you can paint the sides. Well, I guess she meant we'd just paint it all blue. But I painted my fence post going along in the white paint. And she was like, what is your name again? Let me borrow this to show the class. Oh my gosh. You would think that I'd just gotten like my annual review and they were like, we're going to make you the CEO because you're so smart. I was like, you want to use my art as a demonstration? Now I will tell you, once we got past the painting a straight line, it was all kind of downhill from there. Once we had to like paint the actual flower and stuff, no one was using mine as an example. But to your point, I felt like, I don't know, when you're doing something new, I was just like, I felt very, not intimidated, but just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I've got to really take instruction and pay attention. And then it felt really good if somebody acknowledged like, oh, you did well at this. You felt good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just that challenge again, just being, again, I guess out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Really.
And there was a little bit of a rush to that.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of like feeling... Yeah, the butterflies and the nervousness again. Like it was just in a good way. You know, I think as we get older, that fun nervous, and fun butterflies is replaced by anxiety. Yeah. Which is I think the bad side of it. And, you know, there's the fear of me going to improv class, like the fear of, am I going to be able to do this? Right. Versus the anxiety of I can't do this because, and we start talking ourselves out of things.
Well, and to your point, anxiety is even it serves a purpose in our lives. It can be good for these reasons you talked about. Like you're feeling a little nervous. It makes you more focused, I'm sure, in the moment. You know, you were trying harder.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think anxiety is that positive side of nervousness.
Yeah, this was
anxiety is a negative side of nervousness.
Yeah, exactly. You were like, nervous,
it's the same kind of feeling. Right. But nervousness can be fun because you're trying something new. Anxiety can be
as we've gotten older, all we feel, I think, is the negative forms because we're not putting ourselves out there trying the new stuff. You know, we're just like...
Because I think for most adults, they talk themselves out of it before they even do it.
Yeah. which is why we definitely can't be accused of that.
No.
No matter how incompetent we are or terrible or lack of talent, we do not let that stop us. Like, there were probably 3-year-olds that were painting better than I did, but like, we still did it. And now I can say I did it.
Yeah. And one day somebody can drive down the road and they're going to see a naked guy standing beside a tent with some really nice running shoes.
And a really good tattoo.
A tattoo with a sign that says, I'll preach for food.
Yes.
And I'll be acting it out through improv.
Yes. But it'll be the improv with the imaginary person in your head because you'll definitely be on that street corner by yourself.
Oh, definitely. No doubt about it.
So is your poll question really going to be, I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but is your poll question, are we going to do something around, hey, do you challenge yourself to do anything new? Are we going to do something in that like kind of theme, or are we really going to do you want to be naked in the wilderness or with your family in a tent? I don't know. What are you thinking?
Pray about that.
Yeah.
I like both.
Ooh, what if we had 2 poll questions? That would be crazy.
Yeah. It's funny. Some poll questions people go crazy about.
I know. And some they're just
others,
like,
it's like
we
it
could
doesn't
care
exist.
less. Yeah. So. They're like, you had a poll. We didn't. Or maybe people have just stopped listening.
No, they're still listening. Hey, we were getting lots of downloads every day.
Yeah,
so somebody's listening.
Oh.
Somewhere.
Well, it could be one of those bots over, that like it's just playing this so we'll feel good about ourselves or something. Right. I don't know how that would happen, but
right. I know one person's not going to listen this week, and that's Sam. Because we've gone well over our hour. So for him, this is like Lord of the Rings.
Well, I know this is the end, but people, you can stop it and start it again.
I know. That's what I do. I'll hit play while I'm driving.
Yeah.
It stops when I get out, and it starts back when I get back in. But
Sam, don't update your graph.
I do want to highlight this. If you're in the Kernersville area this weekend, hey, are you still there? The podcast is going on the road.
Crazy.
Beth and I have been asked to host a couples trivia night. We're going to be doing that tomorrow night at Re3 Church in Kernersville. And then the next morning, if we pass the couples trivia night, they're going to invite us back, and we're going to be running a panel discussion for, I guess, the service portion. The worship service, just talking to folks about their faith and their daily disciplines and how changes in life can often change the way you have to align your time with God and things like that. So we're going to be, Saturday night's going to be a fun night. We're going to be hosting a trivia. Sunday morning, we'll be there hosting a panel discussion. I know the panel discussion is going to be recorded, so we'll put that up on
This will be my
podcast.
First time hosting trivia. Now, I can't say I'm particularly nervous about it other than I'm like, what if everybody's bored? I don't know. I usually am playing the trivia as opposed to hosting.
To play some trivia.
I do.
So.
I don't know how I make hosting the trivia competitive. So I don't know how I'm going to stay interested.
So maybe your competitiveness could be,
I'm going to co-host Mike. Okay,
I'm better than Mike.
Okay, that's what I'll strive for, to be a better co-host. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we'll let you know how that went next week. And you know what? It'd be fun. Maybe we'll do some of the questions on the show next week.
Ooh, a trivia question or two.
Some trivia questions.
Yes.
And we'll run through that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. We've gone way over time, but that's okay. I think it was a good discussion. Yeah. It was fun. Recapping the Big 12, looking at improv in our life, and how nervousness is good.
And challenging ourselves to get out of our comfort zone.
And ultimately, we discovered that you like to bend the rules. So maybe you really are, it should be in Slytherin. Because that was the most Slytherin thing I'd ever heard when you were describing your Big 12 and how you were going to do them. And you wanted to dominate. You wanted to win.
Do you know why this doesn't even justify a response? You didn't even know how to pronounce Slytherin or what it was until I read it to you.
But
so I am not justifying this with a response.
And now I think I'm a Hufflepuff.
Okay.
And
a Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff. Okay. Listen, Sam.
I'm a Hufflepuff.
Sam is going to never listen to us again. We are not going to do this.
It's not our target audience.
And it's not a Hufflepuff. It's a Hufflepuff.
But that's me, and you're the Slytherin. I think we
Okay.
can all agree with your...
We can add that to the poll question and let some people weigh in on that. Or I'll just ask Marissa to do like a more in-depth analysis.
That'll just
of
be,
what-
what Harry Potter house are you in? You know, and we'll just leave it
But that's
there.
not as exciting as some of the other questions because we're going to have a lot of listeners who don't know what house they're in.
They'll just make something up.
We'll have to talk
You know what
about
they'll do?
this.
They're going to see what house I'm in, and they're all going to join me.
Oh, I'm sure after they've heard your Big 12, I think most
Because they
people...
know that's going to be the party house.
No, most people are
My
going to
house is a
disassociate.
tent.
Yeah.
Clothing optional.
With like some really weird stuff, like survivalist, like we can't have any of the comforts or luxuries of home in the tent. You're just going to be on the ground in the tent, because you got to be surviving out there in the jungle. Yeah.
Yep.
Good luck with all that.
Good luck with all that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, it's been fun. And thanks for joining in. Talk to you later.
Next week.